Hello guys, welcome to the TechDayEveryday channel. Today I'm bringing you my review and test of the UGREEN Nexode power bank. This is the most powerful model in the Nexode series, boasting a rated capacity of 90 Wh and a total output of 200 watts. And since we are on the subject, I want to show you today why 99% of power bank reviewers are doing their test completely wrong. I have seen a ton of reviews claiming that PD protocol bank is low quality because it overheats after a short while, throws an error and stops charging. This applies to various brands, including this one. Honestly, I get the impression that modern tech reviewers have no clue about modern electronics and don't even know the basics of how they work. I also want to emphasize that this review is not sponsored. I bought this gear with my own money just to show you how foolish people are when they test these devices incorrectly. But alright, let's start from the beginning. If you are planning to buy this device, make sure to check out the links in the video description. The main advertised advantage of this device is that it's airplane friendly. With a capacity of 90 Wh, it sits right under the 100 Wh limit set by airplanes. The device features two USB-C ports and one USB-C-A port. On the back of the box we can find the specs for each port. In short, USB-C 1 delivers 140 watts, USB-C 2 gives 100 watts and the USB-C-A port handles 22.5 watts. Of course, the power is shared dynamically and cannot exceed a total of 200 watts. Later in the video I will test every possible combination to show you how to use this device optimally. Inside the box you will find the power bank itself, user manuals in multiple languages and an extra accessory box. Inside that there is a carrying pouch and a USB-C to USB-C cable. After plugging the cable into an eMarker chip reader, it identifies as a cable supporting the USB-C 2.0 standard at 50 volts and 5 amps. The power bank features a large TFT display, a single button and the three ports I mentioned earlier. The manufacturer claims a weight of 608 grams and dimensions of 155 by 54 by 51 millimeters, which perfectly matches my measurements. The power bank turns on automatically when it detects a device plugged in one of ports or via a single click of the button. On the main screen we can see the current battery percentage. Below that we can see the real-time power output of each port and the direction of the energy flow. In the top right corner it displays the remaining runtime under the current load. When charging the power bank itself, this area shows the time left until it's fully charged. The device shuts down automatically about 2 minutes after charging ends, or by holding down the button for a solid 6 seconds. The charging process for connected devices is considered finished when the current drops below 200 mA. The device also features an additional mode for charging low power gadgets that draw less than 200 mA, like smartwatches or Bluetooth headphones called Trickle charge. To activate this mode, just hold down button for 3 seconds. Once enabled, you will see an icon in the top left corner. These modes turn off automatically after 3.5 hours, or you can hold the button for 3 seconds again to turn it off manually. As you can see, after connecting this ESP module, the power draw is so low that the device displays 0 watts. In this scenario, without Trickle charge enabled, the power bank would simply shut down after 2 minutes. To save energy while charging, you can turn off the display with a double click of the button. You can wake it back up with a single click. Another single click changes the screen to show the current voltage and amperage for each port. We also get a real-time power graph for each port here. Okay, let's move on the tests. First, let's check which charging protocol each port supports. As we can see, the USB-C 1 port supports multiple protocols such as Quick Charge 2.0, Quick Charge 3.0, Quick Charge 4.0 and Power Delivery 3.1 with a maximum output of 140 watts. The USB-C 2 port is similar but tops out at 100 watts for power delivery. The USB-C port only supports Quick Charge 2.0 and Quick Charge 3.0 with a maximum voltage of 12 volts. So, why are most YouTube reviews bad? Because reviewers use an artificial electronic load for testing instead of actual real-world devices. In the vast majority of cases, the test looks like this. The power bank is connected to an electronic load that forces a continuous power draw using one of the PD standards. They locked the power at, say, 65 watts, 100 watts or 140 watts. The PD standard doesn't work this way in real conditions, nor was it designed to. The core principle of the PD standard is continuous communication between the power source and the device being charged. The power is also kept as low as possible by adjusting the current. Devices utilizing PD are designed to draw maximum power only for short bursts when it's truly needed. There are no consumer devices that continuously draw maximum full power non-stop. When a power bank or charger starts to overheat, it signals the connected device and the current is throttled to lower the temperature. When a power bank or charger starts to overheat, it signals the connected device and the current is throttled to lower the temperature. When you use an electronic load with locked power for a test, this communication doesn't happen. And that is exactly why these power banks overheats and shut down after a short while. I have seen plenty of reviews for this specific power bank claiming it shut down after a few minutes even under a modest 65 PD load, which is total nonsense. I hope this makes sense to you now. According to the specs, we can charge the power bank with a maximum of 65 watts using either the USB-C 1 or USB-C 2 port. As you can see, the real charging power is indeed 65 watts for each port, though the reading on the device display is a few watts lower than reality. As I mentioned earlier, the charging process is shown on the screen, with the remaining time to a full charge in the corner. Pass-through charging is also supported, meaning you can charge the power bank and your devices at the same time, which can be pretty handy. Next, I tested all possible port combinations during discharge. Everything matches the specifications. Most importantly, the USB-C 1 port delivers a true 140 watts and it's possible to charge two devices at 100 watts simultaneously using USB-C 1 and USB-C 2. Just keep in mind that when using the USB-A and USB-C 2 ports at the same time, their shared power drops to just 20 watts. You need to remember this if you want to charge your devices as fast as possible. A great example of testing the maximum output of the USB-C 1 port is this 140 watts USB-C soldering iron. The device draws maximum power only while heating up, which takes just a few seconds. After that, the power consumption drops to around 10 watts. In this scenario, we get the maximum heating speed for the soldering iron without overheating the power bank. The same goes for using USB-C 1 and USB-C 2 simultaneously. The initial power for each port hits 100 watts and then immediately drops to the minimum required. My next test involved connecting to the laptops with completely drained batteries. After turning the laptops on, I maxed out their CPUs to force them to draw as much energy from the power bank as possible. As you can see, the combined power draw at the start is around 140 watts. The power bank ran until it was completely empty without a single issue. It didn't overheat and it throttled the current whenever it could to cool itself down. The discharge took about an hour. Like I said, the laptops were under maximum load the entire time and their batteries still managed to charge to about 35%. And that is exactly what a properly executed test should look like. For my next test, I drained the power bank to zero and charged it back to 100% to see how much energy it can actually take in. I intentionally discharged it to zero at around 65 watts so it would get really warm. When charging started, its initial temperature was 47 degrees Celsius. As we can see, the charging process took 1 hour and 40 minutes. The result was 4.17 amps hours. The charging voltage stayed at 20 volts throughout the cycle, so it's easy to calculate that the charger transferred about 84 watt-hours to the power bank. Keep in mind though that some of this energy was lost as heat during the process. Notice that at one point during charging, the device clearly throttled the input power from 65 watts to 50 watts to lower its temperature. The manufacturer claims a capacity of 90 watt-hours, so as you can see there is a discrepancy here. I wouldn't worry too much about it, though as advertised battery capacities usually divide quite a bit from reality. Next, I discharged the power bank to zero at around 40 watts, measuring how much energy it could actually deliver. The result was 3.59 amps hours at 20 volts. So the real output energy is 71.8 watt hours, which is about 20% lower than what the manufacturer claims. Alright, time for a summary. In my opinion, this power bank is the perfect solution for people who travel a lot by plane. Its high output and capacity allow you to charge large devices on the go, like a laptop, and honestly, it will handle two laptops at the same time with ease. From my perspective, it's also the ultimate power source for a high-power USB-C soldering iron. Working in the field with a setup like this is pure joy. I also think it makes an awesome gadget gift. A power bank like this always comes in handy. If you found this video helpful, please leave a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to the channel.